Hi everybody, it's Julie, Kansas City girl in a Colorado world, and this is Flosstube number 129. Today is Tuesday, January 7th, 2025. I am going to try to keep this one moving a little quicker, but we'll see. You already know. You see how long this video is. I have quite a bit of like Christmas holiday stitching, and I don't know about you guys, but like once Christmas is over, like I'm over it as far as stitching like Santas and themed patterns. So I want to keep this brief because I know some of you might be like, you know what, I don't care about Christmas stitching, which like fair and valid. So I'll try to get through it quickly. I do have stitching that is not strictly holiday. I do, but I also, I have quite a bit of holiday stitching. So I will just try to move through that quickly so that if you are like, you know, if you're well past that, it won't take up too much time. And then we can get to the good, I shouldn't say we could get to the good stuff, but we can get to the other stuff. Okay. So finishes, I have a lot. I have several. Most of them were small, like 1 day, 2 day stitches. So that's why I was able to knock through quite a few of them. If you watched my holiday vlog, it was my last video where I was traveling over the holidays, and I put together just little clips of like what I was working on. So if you watch that, you've already seen most of these, but so again, I'll just go through them quickly because it may be repetitive if you watch that vlog. So, all right, what did I finish? I think these are pretty much in order. So first thing I worked on was this little Mill Hill kit. It's called Holiday Wishes, and I stitched this exactly as called for with the kit, floss, and the beads. And I do not have this with me because I gifted this, but I finished it into a little ornament, and I'll insert, you know, a clip of that. The next thing I worked on was Mill Hill Christmas Cactus. This is a very similar, it's the same size like kit. So I think, you know, these are similar in like time. These both took me about a day or just a little bit over. This was a newer one. I think it just came out this past season or sometime last year, and I loved this immediately. So again, it's called Christmas Cactus. I think I got this one from Abby at Top Knot Stitcher, I think. If I didn't, I know she was selling it at some point. She might be sold out by now. But again, just used what came in the kits, the beads, the floss, the perforated paper. The only thing I will say about with both of these, with any Mill Hills that I do, where it's a kit with perforated paper, the instructions say to use 3 strands of DMC for all of your X's, your regular cross stitches. I don't ever do that. I just use 2 strands, and I think the coverage is fine. I really don't think they need 3 strands. I've never been like disappointed in the coverage that I get on these. So yeah, I never use the 3 strands, but otherwise I do like the back stitching as called for and all that. I think with 3 strands, you'd really be fighting your stitches on these, because sometimes with 2 strands, I'm really kind of fighting to get the needle through. So 3 strands would just, I think, be overkill. If you do it with 3 strands, great. Like, I'm just saying I don't, and I haven't had an issue with coverage. Also, when I do with the 2 strands, I can do the loop start and stop, which I find very helpful with these because you do trim them really close to the stitching, and it's just nice to not have a lot of extra like thread ends on the back. So that's just the way I do it. Okay, so then I finished these. Oh my gosh, these are little Shannon Christine. The designer, I think it's Shannon Christine Designs. She has a Facebook group. If you go and join her Facebook group, she has freebies really generously, like quite often. And she has done, I don't know if she did any this year, but last year she had put a bunch up. And I did 3 of them. I think there are 12 of these little size like Christmas freebies. I did 3, and I plan to do all of them at some point. They are very small. I think these were like 33 by 33 stitches. So I stitched with the Called For DMC on 14 count plastic canvas. And these are so cute. Like there's so much like design packed into that little 33 stitches. But they're really quick. These each took like less than a day. And I was able to just like knock these out really quick. And they all use the same like DMC palette. So doing them on not perforated paper, plastic canvas. These are great because I just had like the DMC palette that I needed, which they all use the same. And then I didn't have to have a hoop. I didn't have to have Q-snaps. Like I just hold this in hand because it's very like firm, even more, what's the word I'm looking for? Sturdy, even more sturdy than a perforated paper, which I think perforated paper is also great for traveling, but these are even sturdier. And so all I need is like my needle, my scissors, and my thread. I'm good to go. So this, as you can imagine, this takes up like no space at all. This was perfect stitching on the plane because I'm just sitting here like this. Like I don't have a big thing. I'm not in anybody's way. So I love these. I loved stitching these. They stitched up super fast. I wanted to do more. It's just time got away from me, but these are great. Somebody did ask me where I get my 14 count plastic canvas. I ordered it online. I've never seen this in store at maybe like at an L&S, but I've never seen it at like a Michael's or a Joann. So, you know, I've seen other plastic canvas, but it's the kind for needlepoint plastic canvas. So it's like, it's square instead of the holes, the round holes. It's like a square and it's a bigger count. I think it's 11 count or something like that. So no, I've never seen 14 count plastic canvas in the stores. It's easily found online and it's not expensive. So if you were wondering, because somebody did ask me once, a couple videos ago where I get that. Okay, so then I finished this Dimensions kit. Okay, so this is so funny. This kit was just called Truck. It wasn't called like Christmas Truck, Christmas Farm Truck. Like it was just called Truck. So I finished Dimensions Truck. So this was a kit, and I have to tell you, and maybe it might be in the clip if I insert the I don't know which clips I have saved. I hated stitching this with the floss that came in the kit. It was awful. It was not DMC floss. It was very clearly not DMC floss. It shredded and twisted and tangled and just, it was awful. I got through it and the design is beautiful. It looks great. I hated stitching it, but it looks great. So I finished this, and this was also a gift. So there are a few more finishes. We're not done. I was still in the holiday spirit and I kept going. So, okay, let me show you a couple more finishes. So, okay, I visited Be Stitch Me. It's in Moline, Iowa, or is it Illinois? It's Iowa, right? Yeah, it's in Iowa. So we were driving to Illinois, so we had to drive through Iowa. And so in the Quad Cities, specifically Moline, there is a physical brick and mortar storefront for Be Stitch Me. So I think originally Be Stitch Me was like just online for fabrics and silks, and now you can still buy online, but there's also the store. If you're ever passing through, I really do recommend you visit because you would be shocked how much is packed into that store. first of all, it's right off I-80. So if you are driving through, like it's not, I think it's like maybe 5 or 10 minutes off the highway. Like it's not, or the interstate. It's not like a big detour to go. Also, there's some really great breweries around there. I think the one we went to was River Bend, maybe something with Bend. It might have been River Bend Brewing. It was really good, really good. So anyway, go to Be Stitch Me if you can, because it's fabulous. Brandy has so much in there. Like it's not just Be Stitch Me fabric and silk. All of that's there too, and it's so cool to see all the silks like up on the wall. It's gorgeous. But she also carries so many patterns in Mill Hills and kits and Bella Filipinas, all kitted up stuff. Like just, it's awesome. It's awesome. It's well worth a stop. It's not just like a little bit of fabric and floss. Like it's a like jam-packed needlework shop. Anyway, I stopped. I've stopped before, so this was my second visit. And I was so excited to go in and get some fabric for this pattern. So Brandy's daughter is now designing. And so she had designed these 2 winter patterns. So we've got Cozy Cottage and Mr. Snowball. So I bought Mr. Snowball for like Small Business Saturday. I bought him and all the silks. And at that point, I didn't know I didn't know we were going to Illinois yet. So, for Christmas. So I didn't know I, was going to be passing through. Anyway, I bought it, it arrived. And then I was like, why didn't I buy the fabric? Like I totally forgot to buy the fabric. And then at that point I realized we would be passing through. So I was like, okay, I'm going to get the fabric on my next round through. So I stopped and was going to get the fabric for this. And then I ended up buying the other pattern from, so this is Yanina Designs. This is Brandy's daughter. And you can get these at Be Stitch Me, or she has an Etsy. I think her Etsy is Yanina Designs. So both of you can get these as PDFs. But anyway, long story short, I got both patterns, both fabrics, and the silks. So I will say I didn't ask, but Yanina did gift me the silks for this pattern, which was so insanely generous and sweet of her to do. And stay tuned because she's got more designs coming out, and she is very, very talented, and I'm very excited to see what she comes up with. Anyway, I stitched both of these with the called for silks on the called for fabrics. Maybe different count than the called for, but like the actual, what was called for. So the first one I did was Cozy Cottage. So this is on a fabric called Whimsical. The model's on 32 count opal linen. I got the 16 count opal. It's so pretty. And then I used the called for silks. So look how it's so little and cute. Look at this. Just a wee little thing. I think it just took me maybe 2 days to stitch. So that is Cozy Cottage. And then I also did Mr. Frosty, and I did him with the called for silks. He took a little bit longer. He's a little bigger. And I used the 16 count opal Ada in Blue Moon. So here is Mr. Frosty. And this one was so fun because Yanina used turkey stitch down here in the scarf trim. And I didn't know what that was. Like I'd never done that, but on the pattern, it said turkey stitch. So I Googled it, and it's actually a really fun, it's a needlepoint stitch, but it's really fun because it gives you this cool like fringe. So check that out, because that's something I would like to use maybe on something else. I don't know what yet, but it was just fun to do. So I might try that some other time. So yeah, there is Mr. Snowball. So those were 2 finishes. Those were so fun to stitch. And then in the car on the way back from Illinois, yeah, so we drove from Fort Collins, Colorado to small town Illinois. I don't know what part of the state it is. I don't want to say wrong. I don't want to say wrong. Might be northwest. Is that right? I don't know. Outside of Rockford. Not Rockford, but like outside of Rockford. Anyway, I dropped this pattern. We drove, it's about like 13 or 13 and a half hours. So we did split it and stay overnight in Lincoln, Nebraska. And so we ended up driving like 6.5 to 7 hours, 2 days in a row, which for us, like we could have just drove straight through, but we feel good at 7, and like 9.5 is pushing it. So like Kansas City to Fort Collins is like 9.5 hours. And we've done that several times this year. Well, this past year. And that's pushing it. So we didn't want to do longer. I mean, we could, but we don't want to. So we stayed in Lincoln, Illinois. It was lovely, actually. Cold as all get out on the way there. Anyway, that was a super random tangent. I'm sorry. Anyway, all that to say, in the car ride on the way home, I stitched on this because it was very easy, like car stitching for me. So this is Primrose Cottage Cocoa Quilt. It's easy because it was only 3 colors, very geometric. Like you can see, like, especially with this star, you just, you know, it's just easy. It's not like a fussy fiddly pattern. So it was very easy to follow, and stitch in the car because I was stitching it on a, I think 32 count linen. So it was like, I could see it. It was great. This is a mystery linen. I don't know what it is. I might have dyed this myself, actually. And I used 3 random flosses from Stash. I think it mostly color and cotton, but probably like limited edition colors. But I just tried to find colors that were similar to the original, which actually the model is stitched with color and cotton. I just didn't have those colors. It's stitched with Cherry Cobbler, Tree Lot, and Tusk, which I didn't have. So I used other colors that I did have. And this was really fun to stitch, and I got this done. I didn't get it done before we got home, but I finished it like that night. I almost finished it in the car. But I was driving too, so like you know, if I didn't have to drive at all, I definitely would have finished this. Anyway, it came out really cute. I really like what Primrose Cottage is doing. Like their designs are very cute. I really like them. Okay, I have one more finish. Yeah. Well, maybe another one too, but we'll get there in a second. Okay, so when I was at Be Stitch Me, I totally impulse purchased Heart and Hand Frosty Tiny Town. I don't know why. I saw it and I needed it. I wanted it, and I bought it. So this is what I liked about this one was it's not strictly like Christmas or holiday. It's just like a wintry, blustery scene, and there is a snowman. Now there is a Christmas tiny town as well, which is like reds and greens. So anyway, I felt like this one, like I could still stitch on after Christmas because it's just wintry. It's not Christmassy. So I grabbed this and I went to town and I finished it. Now, this is on a 32 count Be Stitch Me fabric in the color Tombstone, which was like in a Halloween box. And you can get it now on its own too. It was in a Halloween box, but I just thought the like blue, gray, blustery like look of it really fit the pattern. It's not the called for, but I think it's like very similar. Holding everything upside down. I think it's very similar. So I did not use the called for colors. I did it on a couple. The ones I had, I did grab. The ones I did not have, I grabbed something from Stash that looked similar. So even if it's not the called for color, it's like in the spirit of the called for color. So there is Frosty Tiny Town. This was my first tiny town. I know these are super duper duper popular, and I was resisting and resisting. I don't know why. Like I've always thought they're cute, but I just kind of was like, oh, that's cute. Like I don't need it. And then everybody was stitching them. So I was kind of like, I'm not like the person that won't stitch things that everybody else is stitching. I'm not like that, you know, I don't know the word I'm looking for. But I don't know. It did seem kind of like, well, everybody's stitching those. Like, do I need to? I couldn't resist. I got it. And now, of course, I want like everything. I want the Valentine's one is so cute. I want all the tiny towns. They're so darn cute. Now, I do think the drum finishes are adorable, but what I don't like about drums is that you can't see the whole design. I mean, you can spin it in your hand and see it, but I don't know. So I think I'm going to keep it as like a long, skinny, flat finish so that you can see all of it because it's so cute. It came with 4 little buttons too. Like the actual paper pattern came with the 4 buttons. So those were all of my finishes. Now I have one more finish that isn't like mine. What, you say? That doesn't make any sense. Well, it does. It's my, it's an Ink Circles Round Robin, and I stitched the 4th and final quadrant. So it is finished, but it's not my project, and I did not stitch the first 3 quadrants. Therefore, it's a finish, but it's not really my finish, you know? It's not going like in my journal as a finish. Speaking of, if you are curious, I will tell you because I just calculated all that. How many things did I finish? Let me get my handy notebook. In 2024, I had 63 finishes, 63. And some of that is like, you could give or take because I think like I didn't count like my ink circles that I stitched a 4th of it and then sent it on. I don't think I counted that as a finish, if that makes sense. Like so I did, certain things didn't get counted. And sometimes with like little, I'm trying to remember, there was something that I was like, you know, I should give myself credit for that. Like sometimes I'll finish a piece. Oh, I know what it was. The Witchy Stitcher Nostalgic Tarot, there are cards in the overall piece, and I finished one of the cards. I don't know if I counted that as a finish, but I'm thinking I should because it's a lot of stitching. I'll get to that. I'll actually get to that in a minute. Anyway, I had around 63 finishes, maybe 64 or 65, like if we get, I don't know, but somewhere around there, okay? And then I finished the year with 93 whips. I have 93 works in progress. 93. Yeah. I got down to like the 70s, but so going into 2024, I had 73 whips. So that means I added 20 on top of all the stuff I like started and finished. I still added 20 in 2024. That's a lot, but I mean, who cares really? Like, I don't care. It's fine. Oh my God. I'm sorry. That was so loud and I'm going to forget to edit that out. I'm sorry. Okay. Anyway, those are my random stats from 2024. So, okay. My Ink Circles Round Robin. This is Miriam's project. It is Victorian license. And instead of doing like all the different colors, she just did hers like one color, like monochrome. But her color has like a lot of variegation in it. So anyway, I finished my piece of that, and now it is completely finished. This is, I think, an 18 count, and we did 1 over 1 on 18 count with sulky 12 weight. So this is, I don't know what the fabric is, but I think it's 18 count. And the sulky is on a spool like this. It's sulky. I don't know. I'm sorry. I really don't know, but it's finished. I finished it. I will say this is not my favorite ink circle to stitch. And it's not because of anything like with the fabric or floss or whatever. It's just, it's very fiddly. I mean, you can see it's very dainty and delicate, and it goes like, I couldn't get like a rhythm because it just goes all over the place. And I can only imagine if you did it the way it's charted with all these color changes, it would be even more annoying. But it's fine. It didn't take very long and I got through it. I found it to be very fiddly. I think it looks beautiful. The effect is gorgeous. But it was very like, I had to really pay attention, which it's fine. I just think actually that's like probably a perfect ink circles to do a round robin, because if I had to stitch that entire thing, I don't think it would ever get finished. So it is nice to like divide the labor on that one. Okay, all right. Those are my finishes. And I only have 2 works in progress because I was just finishing stuff. So now I want to get back to all my whips because like I miss them and I'm tired of starting things. Oh, I actually don't have 2 whips. One was a new start and one was a whip. Okay, let's get to it. So my new start. Okay, I am stitching the Fox and Rabbit 2025 Stitch Along. It is called Cloister Garden. Now, if you did not know, Fox and Rabbit every year hosts a completely free Stitch Along. It's a mystery. You don't know what it's gonna look like. But you get like the dimensions of the project and like how much floss you need, and then you can just do what you want. You can do, I think they're always like, you can do them just monochrome, one color, or you could like make a color palette and then just kind of pick and play and put your colors where you want. They are usually really large. Even I think last year's was like 2024's was maybe a smaller one for them, but like still a significant project. I do have the 2023 as a whip, and I've been thinking about that one a lot lately. Anyway, I started the 2025 one because I was so intrigued by the theme of a cloister garden. When I think of cloister garden, I think of like a medieval monastery, or like a nunnery, I guess. Like I think of like stonework, lush, like deep greens, some flowers, some water. I don't know. It's just, I just have a vision. And so I picked my palette out kind of like with that in mind. So let me show you part 1. Part 1's quite small. It's going to be a very big design overall. I think it's 333 by 333 stitches. But the first part, January, is quite small. This was like 1 day of stitching. So this is on 40 count paper bark from Fox and Rabbit. It's a linen and it's just a beautiful neutral. And I am using Be Stitch Me silks. So one of the things I did while I was there was pick out a color palette, which was so fun because they have their silks all on the wall. So I just walked around and just picked out, like, it was fabulous. Just walked around and like held up silk and decided what I wanted to do. So I don't have a lot of my colors worked in yet, but I did get my 2 grays. So it was important to me to get like some grays for like the cobblestone, like monastery, cloister, castle, like kind of feel. So I did get my 2, I picked my 2 grays first. So I picked Space Rock and Anchor as my 2 grays. And those are used in this first feature. So this is overall, I think it's just going to be a design where you could kind of like ink circles where you could kind of pick stuff out, or it could just be a pretty like geometric design. But Bren did say this was like a water fountain feature when he released this first part. So that made me like kind of add another color in, because I was like, well, water fountain, oh, I don't really have a blue. I didn't have a blue watercolor. So I did have to add from Stash. So this is not a Be Stitch Me. This is an NPI Northern Lights in the color Iris Blue. So this is what I stitched my water in. So it's an interpretive fountain. Does it really look like a fountain? Probably not, but those are the 3 colors I was able to use to complete this month. But let me show you some of the colors we're going to be adding in because they're so pretty. So for my greenery, I picked T-Rex and Over the Hill. So these are some of the colors like I'll just be sprinkling in as I'm moved to do so. I picked Nebula, this beautiful like navy. I picked Witchy, this gorgeous purple. I got this deep, gorgeous burgundy. It's called Sanguine. And then I got a brighter red. This is Crimson. It's still a really deep red, but it's a little brighter. And then this is Peacock, which is so beautiful. It's this gorgeous like teal. And let me try to hold up some of these other colors that I just showed already. So there's my greens. So you can see I was going for these deep, rich jewels with my 2 grays. So there is like what my palette will be. And I don't know how it's going to work out yet. I'm just going to plug those in where it makes sense. But there is part 1 done. I am so excited. So again, this is free. They offer this to us free every year. You do have to download it by the end of the year. Like, it comes out the first of the month. And so for like the 2023 stitch along, no, 2024, what year is it? Oh my God. The 2024 stitch along has concluded. You had to download that by December 31st to get it free. So now if you want to go get it, you do have to pay for it. So after the year is over, they put them up as like a regular pattern that you could buy. But for the year, it is free. It comes out like first of the month, each new part. So this is all you have to do right now to catch up before February 1st. And it's free. Go to Fox and Rabbit and you can find it like in the drop down, I think. So, and they have a Facebook group that you can join as well. So it is so incredibly generous of them to do that every year for free. I mean, they're always like massive, good sized patterns. Even the small ones, like I think are still really big patterns, but just so generous that they do that for free every year. Okay, my last stitching to show you. Okay, so I mentioned the Witchy Stitcher Nostalgic Tarot Stitch Along that I'm doing. Well, the other day, I just really wanted to work on it. So I did get it out and I did work on it. And I'm really excited to be like back to this one. So this is where I'm at. So what I had completed before was this card. And so when I said I couldn't remember if I counted this as a finish for my 2024 finishes, because it's an overall, I'm doing a big piece here. But I realized I really should count these because these are like 4,000 to 5,000 stitches a piece, these cards. So I'm like, yeah, I should get credit for finishing that. So if I didn't add it to my finish list, I'm going to. But anyway, this is mine. I'm going to insert a picture of like how the layout's going to look. Not all of the cards have been released yet. You can get the cards by joining her Patreon. If you are in the Witchy Stitcher Patreon, I think it's every other month. The cards get released. And then if you've missed out, if you join the Patreon, you can get access to the Patreon shop where you can buy previous cards that you missed. But the designs are so cool. It looks incredible. It is a lot of stitching, a lot of stitching. So I'm currently in, about halfway through the Fool, which is this card right here. So that's all I've got completed. And then I've been like working on some of the border. This pattern is absolutely massive. It's like 500 something stitches long, I think. And so I'm doing mine 1/1 on 28 count Monaco so that I could fit it all on this big piece. It's still going to be huge, but 1/1 on 28 count. I dyed this myself. I did, basically I did like a rainbow dye and then I over dyed it with black. So it mostly just looks black, but when you really get to looking, like you can see some other colors start to like pop in there. I don't know how well it's going to show up on camera. I'm really happy with the fabric. I'm happy with how this is looking. It's hard to do 28 count over 1, but I mean, it looks great. It looks so good. I will get back to this. I think what I'm going to do with this one is, I'm going to start making this maybe like a 30-minute a day project where I'm just working on the frame, because just the frame is so much stitching. And these cards, it's hard to see, but there's so much stitching in these cards because you have your row of rainbow on the outside, and then you have a row of white, and then you have a row of black. So each card, just with the straight line rows, is a lot of stitching. And so I think if I can just kind of work ahead on just the border, then when I actually get to the card, it'll be more fun for me, because like it's really boring for me to like stop and just do like a straight line of white stitching when I'm trying to stitch all the fun stuff. So you can see like this card is almost done with the rainbow border, but I still need to do the white border and the black border. So like that might be something I start working ahead, or working more on. So I think I might do like 30 minutes a day, just doing border like that. And then I'll see some progress without feeling really bogged down, because otherwise this feels like such a like insurmountable, level of stitching. So I think just doing like a little chunk every day, and then I get to stop and go work on something else that's more fun for me. And then I can just kind of chip away at it. That is my hope. We will see. Who knows? Who knows? We'll see. It looks fabulous. I love it. It's just so much stitching. It is so much stitching, but it looks so great. So that is Nostalgic Tarot by the Witchy Stitcher. Okay. Woo! That is all of my stitching for today. So I just have some books to talk about. So if you don't want to listen to me talk about books, because I get pretty yappy when I talk about books, if you don't want to listen to me yap about books, you can leave now. All right, let's talk about some books. So I'm going to try to go pretty quick through these again, because some of these are well, actually not that many of them, but a couple of them are Christmas books, and like, who cares, right? But also I'll be honest, like I was putting these books together for the video, and I was shocked how many of them I'm like, I don't remember much about that book. And I mean, like, names are gone, which is pretty normal for me, but like they're really gone. I was like, what? And then some of them I'm like, I don't remember what happened in that book. So let's get into it. I'm going to try to be quick because I don't have that many to talk about, but I just don't want this video to be super yappy and long. So, all right. So there is a series called, I don't know what it's called. Love Light Farms. It's a series by B.K. Borison, and there are 4 books out. And so I had already read Love Light Farms and, I don't remember what the second one was called. Oh, it'll be in here. In the Weeds. Love Light Farms and In the Weeds. I read them already. I love them. So I actually read the 3rd and the 4th book in this series. So Mixed Signals and Business Casual. Now, I'm not going to get into what these are about because it doesn't really matter. I can tell you like overall what the series is about. I love these. I loved both of these. I loved the first 2 as well. So these are contemporary romance, like no fantasy, no magic. These are just like normal people, but they are set in a small town on the East Coast. I want to say, I don't think it's Maine, but it might be Maine. They're set in a small town. And the first book is a Christmas tree farm that the owner is trying to like get like, it's kind of failing, and she's trying to get it like up and running and like successful again. But the charm of these books is this small town community. Everybody knows everybody, and everybody's got like they have like character to them, and they're just so charming and cute. They feel very much like a Gilmore Girls, like Stars Hollow vibe. And I think like even in the like selling points for these, like they kind of are like Gilmore Girls meets like whatever. So it's kind of like that. Like if you like Gilmore Girls, you might really enjoy these. I bent my cover up. I don't know how I did that. Anyway, if you like Gilmore Girls, like you will like these. They're spicy, but not like overly spicy, but there's definitely some spice. And you get different tropes. Like the first one is like they've been best friends forever, but they're both secretly in love with each other. And the second one is like a one-night stand, and then they like reconnect, but like, you know, neither of them is looking for a relationship. And They're just really cute. Like the third one is like a fake dating thing, or no, it's not fake dating. It's oh, it's like dating coach kind of thing. And then this fourth one is like they're sneaking around, like they don't want anybody to know they're seeing each other. I don't know. There's like different tropes in them, but they're done really well. They're really cute. So, okay. I will stop. I will stop yapping. I do recommend those. I've loved all four of those. All four of those I have loved, loved, loved. Let me tell you about a book I did not love. Oh God, I did not love this book. I really wanted to love this book. The Nightmare Before Christmas by Sarah Rosh, which I can't remember what else she wrote because I have heard of that author before for sure. It doesn't say like her previous books in here. Anyway, oh, this was so bad. Oh God, it was awful. Okay. Oh my God. I don't even want to get into it. It was bad. It was really bad. It was tedious. Nothing happened. I've never been so bored in my life. There were very cringy, cheesy, like dialogue moments. Insta-love. The insta-love was like, I don't mind a little bit of like instant attraction that like turns into love, but like these two were like ready to like give it all for each other after not even having ever had a conversation. Like they had literally never even talked. They didn't know each other. They'd never really talked to each other. And they're like, I'll risk it all for him. So I wanted to love it. Like it's a queer romance and it sounded so cute, but it was just the most boring book I have ever read in my life. It was so boring. It was horrible. Nothing happened. None of it made sense. And not even in like a fun, silly way, in just a weird way. It's very, yeah, okay, I'm going to stop. I really hated that book and I really wanted to like that book. Like I bought it, like just thinking I was going to love it. And no, I did not. Okay. Another series I've been reading, the Thistle Grove, The Witches of Thistle Grove by Lana Harper. This is, I think, the 5th book in this series. They're all like very short and readable. Like they're all like under 300 or around 300 pages. So I found these to be like really quick to get through. They are, you could probably tell from the witches. These are like a paranormal contemporary romance. So they're set in this small, charming town. Oh my God, the town is so cute. A really cute town with like, you know, a cute bookshop and witchy stores, apothecaries, bakeries, coffee shops. And there are like founding families that have different like branches of magic, and then like shenanigans ensue. All of these are queer, like they're mostly sapphic, but that can vary. Not all of them. And they're really entertaining. I will say, like, this book and the book before have been like a little bit forgettable for me. They're not bad. They're not like, I have a good time reading them. I have fun with them, but like they do feel very like forgettable. Like as soon as I'm done, I'm like, well, that was a book I read. So like they're not giving me like that 5-star feeling, but I give them like 4 stars. They're very good. And I love, I will continue just buying them as they come out because they're all beautiful. Look at these, look at this cover. It's so beautiful. All right. So that was that. Sorry, I'm trying to like move a little quicker. I don't know why I'm apologizing, but that is what it is. Okay. I read Powerless by Lauren Roberts. So this is a young adult, I would actually say maybe new adult, fantasy. Romantasy. It's a romantasy, right? So this book is, you might have seen it around, you might have heard of it. It's very popular, but I was hearing very divisive things. So like, I would see people who really loved it, and then I would see people who are like, what did I just read? Like, what was this trash? And I get it. Like, a lot of people don't like romantasy and really like can get really negative about it. You know, like there are people like me who absolutely loved Fourth Wing. And then there are people who think it is like the worst book they've ever read. So like, it's just I think it's a genre that is very divisive, but even like romantasy lovers like me were, some of them were like, I didn't get this one. So I was like, oh, I'm not sure, because I'm hearing some people say like 5 stars, it's amazing. And then I'm hearing people say like, what was this? So I was like, oh gosh, okay. Like, so I was very hesitant, but I finally, like, there was a really good sale and I got it. And then I finally read it, and I am like, I was pleasantly surprised by how much I loved this book. I honestly didn't really see where people like weren't liking it, but like, to each their own. I'm like, with Fourth Wing, when people complain about Fourth Wing, I see like what I see the criticism. Like, I still loved it, but I get it. I'm like, okay, like, I get what you're saying, why you didn't like that. But with this one, I'm like, wait, so what was it that you didn't like about it? Like, I mean, it's a little bit basic, but like, I don't know. Anyway, this was really fun. Have I forgotten most of it? Yes. Yes, I have. However, I will say this was really entertaining. So essentially, like, there is, in this world, like, there are people who have magic, and all the people who do not have magic have been banished. They've been like slaughtered, like, dumped into the desert and told like, good luck. And, like, they've been like banished from like this community. But there are a few people who are kind of like hiding and still living amongst. So the main female protagonist of this series does not have any magic, but she pretends that she does. So she pretends that she is a seer, that she can like read fortunes. And instead of actually having that magical ability, what she does is just like uses like, you know, clues, and probably the way like real psychics do these days. She just infers things by you and then like tells you something, and you're like, oh my God, that's true. How did you know? Oh, well, I'm a seer. So she pretends to have magic. She doesn't. That's not a spoiler. That's like in the very beginning of it. So anyway, she ends up in a situation where she is entered into like a trial that the king is putting on. And she's competing against people who actually have magic while she does not. But they don't know that. Everybody thinks she does have magic. And so it's basically, it's got a feeling of like Hunger Games. Like, it's kind of like that trial element to it. And I was very entertained. I had a really good time with this, and I'm excited to read the second book. Oh, there's also like this forbidden romance going on, and then there's like a betrayal, and you know, of course, like the romance is with someone who is supposed to like hunt down people who don't have magic, and so she's trying to trick him that she does have magic, and you know, it's a whole thing. It's pretty basic. It's not like reinventing the wheel, but I had a really, really solidly great time with this, and I will be continuing on with the series. And I'm excited to see where it goes, because I can already see like different ways it could go, and I think it's very exciting. So I think it'll be really good. I'm excited. I hope the second book is as good, because I had a great time with that. Okay, this one I'm going to be really brief because I don't remember anything about it. That's not true, but sort of. This is and it's a holiday book. This is Lone Wolf and Lights by Stacey Kennedy. I picked this up at Walmart with the Harlequin books, and it's like, so it's a little cheaper than like the traditional books, but it's I didn't realize it's the second book in a series, but it's one of those where you don't have to have read. It's like standalone, interconnected standalone. It's a contemporary romance. It's set in, is it Wyoming or Montana? It doesn't say on the back. Oh, Montana. It's Montana. So it's set in Montana around Christmas, and you know, it's yeehaw cowboy romance, whatever. It was really entertaining, and I mean, it was fine. I shouldn't say it was really entertaining. Like, it was good, but also completely forgettable. Like, I remember nothing. I had an okay time. I'm not saying it's not worth reading, but it's also not worth like going and finding it and tracking it down. It's not worth all that. Don't do that. Okay, I have a couple more to talk about. I feel like I've been yapping a lot, so I will. Do I want to talk? I'm going to talk about it because I don't want to have to. I don't know. Okay, I'm thinking aloud. I'm sorry. All right, I read The Christmas Tree Farm by Lori Gilmore. This is the third book in this series. So there's the Pumpkin Spice Cafe, the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, and the Christmas Tree Farm. These also feel like the Love Light Farm series, where it's like charming, walkable, small town. Everybody knows everybody, like really cute vibes. So very similar to that series, actually. Although I will say I think that series is a little bit better, but these are very entertaining. The first one for me was like the weakest. It was a little bit forgettable, but it was good, but it was a little bit like, okay. And then I really like the second one, and I really like this third one. So these are just contemporary romance. I'm not going to get into all of it because, like I said, they're interconnected standalones. Like, you don't have to read the other ones, but you probably should, because all the characters like keep popping back up in the additional books. So like in this one, it's the brother of the first, the woman in the first book. It's her brother who gets his story in this one. So yeah, but I loved it. I did love this one. Okay, so I'm going to talk about real quick. Okay, I've binged a series. Well, I binged 2 books in a 3-book series. And so I still need to read the 3rd book. So I will talk about that, I think, when I read the 3rd one. Then I'll just talk about the series overall. That way we can like get out of here, because I feel like I'm yapping. But I did want to talk about one book that I read that I don't have in front of me. So it's Servant of Earth by Sarah Hawley. This was a romantasy. I saw this book on the shelves at like Walmart or Target or something, and I almost bought it, but I was like, oh, I haven't really heard anybody talk about it. I don't know. So I talked myself out of it, and then I was at the library making photocopies, and I was leaving, and the book was sitting right there on the shelf or on the display, and I was like, well, I was interested in that. Let me check it out. So I checked it out. And then I got like 50 pages in, and I was loving it, but I did not have time to like finish it before I was leaving for my trip. So I was like, okay, I'm like 50 pages in, and I'm already like loving this story. So I'm just going to go ahead and like, I'll buy it, but not like go to the store and buy it, because it's a hardcover, so it's $20-something. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to get the Audible. So that's what I did. So I returned it to the library, and then I restarted it and listened to it on audio. And I really love this one. So it is a romantasy. It's a fae world. So it's basically like a human that ends up crossing into the fae realm, and she is a servant, and she has to navigate like court politics and all of the ins and outs of like the fae world. And it was really well done. There are a few characters that are popping up that you don't know if you can trust them or not. There's a really nasty, mean king, and there are some people that are trying to like start a rebellion, but they don't know who they can trust. She doesn't know how involved she wants to be in it. She's getting pulled in different directions by different people that are like, tell me, and you think they might all have the same aims. You're like, I think all these people want to rebel against the king, but they're not like connected with each other. So could she be the one who connects them? And so there's just all this like intrigue that you're like, can you trust him? Can you believe what he's saying? Like, should you like do what he's saying? And she's being pulled in different ways. She does develop a romance with one of the fae. I don't want to spoil anything. I want to say something, but I think it'll be a spoiler. Okay. Well, anyway, they're just, like I said, you don't know who you can trust and who you can't trust. And so things are happening, and I just had a lot of fun, and I'm really excited to see where this series goes. And what was really interesting about this series, I assume it's a series. What was interesting was book 1 does not end on like this huge cliffhanger. Like, it's a little tiny ledge, but it's not like a cliffhanger. But the way that book 1 ends is very satisfying. Like, if we never get more books, like I'm okay. Like, I feel like it ends in like a spot that you're like, well, I could always wonder what happens next, but like that was a good conclusion of its own. But I do hope we get more books and we get to like go deeper into the politics of this world. It was really fun, and ended with a bang, and I had a really good time. So I really would, like, surprisingly really enjoyed this book. So I wanted to make sure I talked about it and recommended it because I had a great time with that. Okay, that's it. That's not all of the things I read, but that's all the things I'm going to talk about. I did read a couple of like really forgettable Kindle Unlimited Christmas romances, like, you know, 3 or 4 stars, like not bad, but just really, like, when I was looking at was going through my books I've read, I was like, there was one, I was like, I read that? Like, when? I mean, I just, like, it had completely flown out of my brain. Like, that's how forgettable it was. So I didn't bother talking about those because they were also Christmas themed, so it's fine. I hit the highlights. Okay, now I'm really rambling. I'm gonna go. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time.